check one too.
What?
So those stupid scenes there are like, those are gonna be intros, ads.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, build the scene.
Yeah.
Make the transition 6 seconds.
Yeah.
And then if it works, cool. If
nice. Are you doing? You got any other elements? You got to wear some headphones for thing. You wear headphones for every show.
I'm a headphone.
Are you? Okay. Yeah.
The reason, and we don't have to do headphones, but most people do not have good control, and so they fade away.
Yeah.
I don't always catch the distance at this angle, so it's easy for me to hear them. Just it lets me know how they hear. For other people who aren't being on a podcast, it would just helps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't want to do them, you can take them off.
I'm good.
You know that specific microphone, so you know exactly what to do. But like we were talking before, man, we can just those conservatives fucking not as crazy. Like, dude, all of those old people who I used to mock, Tim Dillon has the best. And as a gay man, it makes it like, not me, as him as a gay man, it gives him the pass to make the joke, which is like, man, all those old boomers. Remember how they said as soon as you legalize gay marriage, the next thing they're doing is going after the kids? Turns out they're right. They want to make them all trans.
You're going to be allowed to marry a horse? And you're like, oh, fuck, we're there. We're there, Roger. We're there.
Dude, like, do me a favor. Unplug that microphone. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I think, and I've said this, like buying this house, within 6 months of owning a home, I have never related to my grandparents more in my entire fucking life, dude. Like, and I don't exaggerate that when I literally say I was 32, didn't own a home, still thought my grandparents were crazy, and far boomer, conservative, and I'm still not a Republican officially. But I relate to them more and more, and it literally was like 6 months in, I started dealing with a lady still trying to come in my house where I moved. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, because I just ignored them. You know, like they sent me so many letters, and I was just like, you're not coming in. I've lived here for 6 months already. If there was a problem, but I bought a foreclosure home as is. What are you doing? Yeah,
were they trying to?
I don't know.
Was there a? Because usually the only time the government is motivated is when they want.
I think there.
And that makes
You're
sense.
probably right.
That's why that makes sense. Because if it was just them being like, "Hey, we're just checking to make sure things is on the up and up," you go, "Wait a minute, you guys aren't that thorough." You know, talking to my mom last. Poor mother lives in northern Minnesota. Gets hit with like 13,000 tax. She's semi-retired. Her and my stepdad live in the middle of nowhere.
What is it for? Like a city project or something?
Yeah, just like for just for like federal taxes and for their home tax.
Oh, just income taxes. Ours was 35 out of nowhere. Like we've never paid in that kind of in my entire life. And I did the tax, and boom, we have to pay it. And like, this is where Trump irritated. Dude said this thing was first of all supposed to did it all. It wasn't. It's the same exact deal. And number two, you said, which I don't like this, that I was making again, I get a refund. I don't even want that. What I want is give me all my, let me invest, earn the interest rate, and then I'll do what I do at the, I'm not in do. When is the government ever given me an interest rate? Not a once, right?
Never. No, that's the thing.
But then it didn't work out the way he said it was going to work out, and that really fucking bothered.
Yeah, I didn't vote for Trump, and when, but I was up. But when and then singing Hallelujah, Jesus Christ, the fucking world isn't ending. Jesus.
Oh, are you when Obama was leaving office?
Yeah,
and those two chicks went up there and sang that super cringe.
It was just like.
And I liked those chicks a lot too, and it really I was like, really, politician, when are we saying an ode?
I don't get it, but like that was, but I was like, look, but even I was like, let's just give him a chance. Let's just give him a chance. And I thought, absolutely, let's give him a chance. And then those first round attacks where he was talking about it's gonna be easy. And then I did my taxes, and I was like,
this is the same
what happened to
thing.
all this shit?
This is the same thing.
I'm a fucking freelance comedian editing on the side. Like, I used to be able to write off for office space and stuff.
Yeah.
That's all gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one more thing after another, and I just went, all right,
Sound like me, and this is the most unoriginal statement we're taking, but I think you would agree with it. We're politically homeless. Like, I can't really identify with the Democrats anymore because they've gone way too far on certain policies, including here locally. But then every time I'm like, well, maybe I'll vote Republican. Then they come up with some shit where I'm like, nope, that's too far. I can't convert. I feel like I'm like stuck between two magnets that are like in opposites of each other.
Yeah.
And I'm some sort of piece of metal that's just being pushed in between the two. Like, it's not a very encouraging place to be as a 40-year-old white male in America right now.
Yeah, when like when your 17-year-old cousin comes out as bi, you're like, okay, well, you're gonna be gay about 6, so it's fine. That's what I feel like a lot of my friends are. We're all in this place where we're like, well, I'm kind of in the middle, and it's like, well, you're not willing to just tell a Republican. Everybody is kind of there, which I feel like for me, the stuff that kind of hinders me to the left are the things that it just seems like so common sense. I don't understand why people on the right don't understand that just fucking abortion just be. Why is this such a thing? Why is it always, we're these old white bastards up on Capitol Hill, 19-year-old girls? Oh, you fucked up. Time to have that baby, and it's like you're so disconnected from reality. That having kids before you are ready, financially and emotionally, fuck you in the long run more than anything else.
And I think the Democrats would win that battle if they would just have the balls to draw a line in the sand as in. I think that's why there is an opposing argument to that at all.
Yeah.
I think it's literally that simple. And Bill Burr has the joke. Well, it would be if just admit you're killing a baby. Well, it's not a baby yet. Well, it would be if you left it there. Right? Okay, great joke. But there's wisdom there. Just so, because this is what I always ask. I go, okay, well, you wouldn't advocate an abortion the day before it's due, would you? And everybody goes, and I go, okay, well, what about at 8 months? Obviously. I go, okay, well, when? And you start drawing it, and they just, like you said, with an edgy joke that's not perfectly polished yet, you feel them back, and it's like, but they want to pass laws, and they're doing it. So you have to have this conversation. You backing off is what's making them be able to go fucking crazy, zero abortion, even for rape and incest. It's like, you guys are fucking, even though I agree with you, you're cowards because you're not willing to put any time limits on it, any term limits, but then again, same thing. So I'm like, well, I agree with the Republicans for about 15 fucking seconds until they're like, nope, not even rape and abortion. And I'm like, okay, well, now you're too far again. So now I'm back in that ping pongy, like, it just sucks, dude. It's like, so this would be my final thing on the fucking whole Republican Democrat thing. You can take the mic or we can switch topics. But my buddy, he goes, here's the thing, man. You need to pick a fucking side because like nobody respects a self-righteous centrist. Yeah. And like, and he mocks me. He goes, he's right to a degree, but he goes, you're fucking self-righteous centrist. Both sides have good ideas. And I'm like, okay, here's the deal. That is definitely what I said out loud until I was like 30, 34. And then something happened. And now I'm a centrist because I think both sides are complete idiots. Right. Like, I don't know what happened, but it went from me being like, both people have good ideas to be like, no, both people are morons. I don't know. All they did is seem to become two opposite sides.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've been here the whole time. I've just been right here, like sometimes here. But now it's like the definition of these things are used by.
Yeah.
And extreme morons. Like,
well, that's just it. It's the extremes on both sides that pushes what side they used to be on. For the longest time, I was always, man, all this crazy COVID and pronoun bullshit and all this.
I was okay with the trans shit. I lost it on the pronouns thing. It was the they them. I was like, no, you got to pick because I'm not referred to as a
Yeah.
If that's the deal, then I'm not using any pronoun, and I'm literally going to be like, whose pen is this? That's Rudy. Oh, blah 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 blah. You know what?
They like the color blue. No,
I'm not saying
he likes the color blue.
But I'm not gonna. I don't even want to offend people that hard anymore. Now I'm just like Rudy likes the color blue. Like I'm just not playing the game, and that's my point. Like it's a game, and I'm not gonna play it because everybody. And then they go, "How do I win?" Like I'm not playing this game because this game is lose for anybody involved.
Yeah,
I don't want no part of it. I'm not pretending I'm smarter, better, more evolved. Say that. It's really a lack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the time or the patience or the capacity to learn, let alone believe that there's more than two. I'm okay with you flipping between. Like I have a genuine French. I'm down with it.
Sure.
Like, but what I'm not, especially in the idea of freedom, democratic, do whatever you tell you. What I'm not down with.
Oh yeah.
That I'm like, I'm not doing that. Not doing the non-binary.
That's how you know we're at a problem. There's nothing else. You're not having to walk 9 miles to get a fucking jug of water and walk it back to the village with it on top of your head. Like we have no more problem. We talk about not buying it, and it is funny. There's probably, and I'm not even a conservative. I just think that there are things about I'm just a not left anymore, or what I would consider myself.
I think that's the best.
Yeah, and it is funny because I have some friends, and I'm very open about it now. Where I for the buddy Ben Shapiro, like why
he annoys me.
I
agree with him sometimes, and it annoys me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Well, here's the thing: you can't.
That's what I mean by he annoys me. I'm like, God damn, I don't want to agree with this dude.
Well, because you can't argue against him because he's so fucking filled with facts. The guy is so smart and so intelligent that every time you go try to get up in his grill, he can beat you. It's not on a technicality. He's beating you because he's up and he is thoroughly vetted. Guys, that he doesn't look
embarrassing.
There was a great clip of one of the bullshit.
I think it was the. I think I know it. Go ahead.
The one about tennis, one that he was. I think it was Sarah Gilbert, the girl from Roseanne.
Okay.
So whatever dumbass and idiotic show she.
Gotcha.
But she was trying to have a conversation with Dr. Phil about like women's sports and men's sports, but what women are paid and all this shit. And Dr. Phil was just one after another.
Yeah.
Well, listen, the reason why women don't get paid as much, especially in Thor and the WNBA, as much, there are exceptions to the rule. You have the Serena Williams or the Williams of the world.
The one my wife brings up, Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey.
Highest paid UFC fighter of all time, still to this day,
sure.
is Ronda Rousey. Not Conor McGregor. Not whoever. Ronda.
Yeah. There's exceptions to the rules in every situation ever.
And in case anybody, it probably no one. She sold them out.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody was confused.
Yeah.
Wait, why is this one chick making? That's why.
That's why. And there's the same thing with the WNBA. There's the same thing with like women's soccer,
music,
all that shit. Doesn't.
If you sell tickets, you get paid.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fucking name. Chelsea Handler at Mr. Lake the other. Chelsea Handler sells an exorbitant more amount of tickets than I will ever sell in my entire life. Ever. Great.
He's like one of the old G that didn't like claim to demise because she's chick, even though back then there was hard discrimination against women. There was no diversity, equity, inclusion.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They mentioned it. Oh, it's hard to be a woman, but then they just like became awesome and undeniable.
Sure, that's Joan River, Roseanne Barr,
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, the result.
I wasn't a fan of her stand-up, but she was goddamn funny in the movie. Sister Act, Ghost.
You're okay, but then she's like Jumping Jack Flash.
Fair. You got me. Isn't that with Ted Danson?
It might be with Ted Danson.
I think it was because they were married and they wanted.
I don't know.
That was a weird couple.
Yeah.
Ted Danson and Whoopi
Ted Danson
Goldberg.
with the blackface. That was great. comes walking out. He's like, I'm with the black girl, so I'm doing blackface. I was like, I don't think it works that way.
He got away with it, though. I mean, he got a lot of shit for it, but it didn't ultimately affect his career.
Well, also, we didn't.
She thought it was.
Yeah, we didn't have all day.
Well, I think we did, but I think it came from the other side. So back then, it was the Republican evangelical. They wanted your band canceled. They wanted that was
a lot of that.
It was different types of canceling, and it was different types of censorship.
Yeah. Although when I go back and re-listen to the NWA record that Tipper Gore was trying to have banned, I can see that. I can understand. If
you don't agree with it, you can still get it.
I can still understand why she would want.
Fuck the police.
Yeah. When a janitor.
No, it wasn't fuck the. It was Cop Killer, wasn't it?
But Cop Killer was body. Yeah. Yeah. That
wasn't it the Ice-T
one.
song that actually started the deal? Cop Killer.
So when I hear that, I go, yeah, I understand where that is coming from.
The song was Body
Count. Yeah,
was the
Ice-T.
song, and the line was Cop.
No, the song was Cop
on the album.
Body, which was Ice rock band.
Dude, it shows you how long
I know.
It's been since I've listened to 90s hip hop. Like, I used to know all of this.
Yeah, but I go, I understand. But when a janitor gets fired because he goes, is shut down for today, and he goes up, and a black woman who was eating, lunch at a cafeteria table, and he's, by the way, shut down, seems racist. That guy gets fired. That's where I'm like, okay, then we've gone way too. All that guy was doing his.
So we talked about going too far last time. Will Smith thing that had happened. I thought we had started to pivot back the other way, and I think you were not only right. I think you were the that I know of, including famous people who have huge podcasts, at identifying the moment that it turned. And you specifically said you thought it was the Will Smith Chris Rock incident. I think you might have been right. Not just that it was happening, but I think you might be right that it was. Dude, how did you know that? Was that from prior life experience where you'd seen something go too far and you like watch the room? Or is that just your, like, because I have these moments too where I'm like, I just know humanity, dude. Like, I predict George Floyd to a T. I just didn't predict it would happen in Minneapolis, and I didn't predict it would be a $20 bill. I predicted it would just be stolen. Because that's what he was doing. He was buying food, groceries from a small place with a forfeit bill or with a counterfeit bill. So I predicted when the lockdown happened, I predicted it would not be 2 weeks, 2 months. I said it'd be like 2, maybe. I predicted George Floyd. I predicted the riots after Floyd. It was just, and people were like, how the fuck did you do all of that so specifically accurate? And I was like, I just know how he, especially when we're talking about. So was it that, or did you have some? That was an insanely accurate. Do you watch Score North at all with Phil Mackey?
Love those guys.
So you know how they do write that down?
I don't know much of the podcast. I worked with those guys for such a
So
time.
they do a segment where the accuracy of your prediction scores you a certain amount of.
Okay.
And so, like, if you get 2 or 3 things in your prediction accurate, you get a whole touch. If it's just this, it's like a field goal, and if it's like a week.
Okay.
That would have been like, because
Yeah.
it was so on the fucking nose. How did you know that?
Well, growing up, had a tumultuous, couple of stepdads who was having to be a parent by just time, and anytime there was like some sort of stepdad was a little abuse, every time, and it's always the same thing. Sort of builds up slowly to a boiling point, and then it happens. It's throw something, punches a hole in the wall. Then you go, whoa, we gotta fucking reassess here. We gotta figure it. Second, I saw, Chris Rock get slapped. That was collectively America. Me as the stepchild sitting in the house. What the fuck is the matter with everybody? Like, we've gotten way too far. Now, is it going to pull itself back? Watching the Tom Brady roast the other day, he so far.
And that's why I brought this up. That's why I brought that up, because it was also live.
Oh, we've so far gone they were talking about it, and his wife. There was kind of back in the day.
Dude, who said it? Hey, babe. The joke, I don't remember who said it, but the joke was, hey, babe, you should try jujitsu.
Yeah. So funny. Yeah.
And there was a few of them. It not real money. That one had me dying.
That was great. That was Nikki Glazer.
But dude, we talked. There's a bunch of shit I want to get to with, but you brought up, and we'll get to him. You brought up Derek Post.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just on Rogan, so he's kind of coming up in a. Why I'm mentioning somebody that I've been a fan for years. Still, until that Tom Brady roast, nobody knew his name. Tony. Dude, his like that when he was walking down the dais, and he had that shit-eating grin on his face as he's like, I can't explain the vibe that came through the TV, but it was like he was walking along a buffet line, just lining up the cows for slaughter almost. Like, I mixed metaphors, but like, oh my God, that shit was so funny. And I looked at Kate and I go, yeah, I think we're done with. So I think you nailed it. I think that moment, he had a couple bursts and she all hell nah on.
Yeah.
That one, I about fell off the couch. And then the Burt Kreischer, the fucking Liver King and the Tiger King and the Burger King and the Rodney King, dude.
Yeah.
I loved it. And even Nikki Glazer got him real good with. I love the joke.
Yeah. I love
I'm trying to do him. I'm trying to burn him and do him quick because I don't want to do the whole thing. If I do it right, people will still find it funny.
Sure. Yeah. Nikki Glazer. I mean, and it's funny. I was up.
Oh shit! Pull that mic.
There we go.
Towards me? Which way?
No, you're good now.
Okay, I'm good now. Okay. But we were chatting about character, comedic character, and what you need to.
What does that mean?
So,
is that like a character or your?
Well,
your character or like.
Yeah, I think sometimes when we say character, we're like, he's up there with a fucking bow tie that spins around.
He's character.
A character. But when we say character as we sort of mean your person. Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield was Dave. His character isn't in his wheelhouse to say certain things. Every time I see a comic and I see him go up and I see him do a joke anywhere, and they go, "That joke's not funny." I go, "No, the joke is funny. It's not coming from somebody who would say it. The audience doesn't view you as somebody who would say those. There was a girl I saw the other night. She was nerdy looking, but like was trying to be sexy. She had like a nice dress on. It was kind of like a mini skirt almost, but had like big clunky glasses and her hair was in a bun. And all of her jokes were about how she could be a Christian. I had to go to like youth and got out of it. And was now like this sort of liberated woman, and everything she was doing just hit one after another. And I looked over at another. Like, everything she is saying. It's what she's saying, how she's saying it, and what she looks like. All three of those things are in harmony. When that happens, that's when you really get big laughs because the audience sees exactly who you are. You are living up to their expectations of who that person is. So every time I see somebody, and Nikki Glazer gets on stage, first off, super pretty, dresses like she should, because she did a joke the other day where she goes, I was in a green room with a comic and he exposed himself emotionally to me. And I was like, oh my God, could you just jerk off in front of me like a normal human being? And I'm like, that's exactly who would say that. A super pretty, good-looking girl who doesn't want...
And she's always, every podcast you ever heard. Yeah. Why won't anybody, man? So that adds up to her
Yeah.
Especially if you've seen her before. Like, that makes sense.
And when she says stuff like that, when she does have those, like, I'm insecure around guys, I don't understand it. And you're like, oh, that's because when you get on stage, you are super fucking is. But off stage, that's why Johnny Depp is such an amazing. Johnny Depp probably hates who he is that's why he's so good at being able to jump into other roles as another. Because when you see those tapes of like him and Amber Heard, he's like, oh, fucking crazy. And he's like, fucking pounding wine and stuff. You're like, yeah, because he's so miserable with being Johnny Depp that he just totally throws himself into these roles as Jack Sparrow or whatever it is. I mean, numerous times. Man, the reason why I became Andy Kaufman is because I was so tired of being Jim Carrey. I was so miserable on the inside that I became Andy Kaufman. It happened at the right time. And then after I went, you know what, maybe I gotta like people. I need to go and get some tea and talk. I'm so miserable being me, but I'm so comfortable being people. And that's the same thing with that's Nikki Glazer's character. I always think of Louis Black. Super even keel, has a very he's just very gracious to people. Like wants to just sit and talk. Second that motherfucker gets on stage, he shakes that finger at you,
So you can do this as a new comic if your look and your personality lines up with what you're saying. Whereas Dave Chappelle can get away with saying whatever because his character for me has been built through experience.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for him to not only talk about some controversial shit, but to drop some wisdom while.
Sure.
That's why I think he's my favorite. He drops wisdom while he's. And not only does he give you that relief, like, oh, that's how I think and feel. I wish I would have said that. But he also, for me, God, I've never even thought about it.
Yeah.
So, whether I agree with him or not, I'm, blown away because I think the best comedians out there are, honestly, this sounds a little bit dramatic. I think they're philosophers. I think if they were born 4,000 years ago, we'd be reading, because comedy wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
I think, if Dave Chappelle was born 4,000 years ago, I honestly think he's so fucking smart. Same thing with George Carlin. These guys are so smart, so wise. They're again, it sounds dramatic, but to me, they're like Play-Doh. They just decided to make it really fucking funny.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a certain talent to me that allows and I think all comedians have this. I just think it's more obvious when you get to the top of the.
Yeah.
Where I think all of you guys are philosophers because you sit down and you think about things in a way that I don't think any other does.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other, maybe a physicist, right, where most of their work is done in their fucking mind. That's even musicians. We're not like that. There's almost zero musicians that actually write everything. In order for us to do it, the analogy would be getting on stage for you. For us, we have to eventually pick up the instrument and improve the.
Yeah.
Even if you have a great sounding idea in your head, at least for me and a lot of guys like me, yeah, I have this great idea in my head, and then you get it in the room, and that's trash. That doesn't need to be worked out. We're just gonna delete that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that happen a lot with comedy too?
A lot. It kind of depends. I kind of have a 3 strikes and you're out rule with me.
Okay.
Where I'll try a joke. If it goes nowhere, we'll rework it. We try it one more time. Okay, we're getting closer. We go up. Or if it gets a little bit of starts moving in the right direction, it'll stick around. But if I do a joke 3 times, but then again,
how do you do that though when you do different rooms or different cities? Because we talked about that last time as well. Sisyphus. I finally know how to say it now.
Hey.
Sisyphus has such a friendly room where people are willing to laugh at shit that will bomb in different.
Yeah.
So how do you differentiate that? Is it just that thing where I believe in this joke?
Yeah, a lot of it is just being confident and just doing it. Say it in a confident way. Humans are humans, regardless of where you go. Salt Lake City, Boston, Miami. Humans are just human. And there's a thing about comedy. If I'm ever in a jam and I know I'm gonna lose this guy, I'll take some jokes and go, I know that joke is a total fucking destroyer. I'll slip it in, get a big pop. Okay, now we're back. Now let's go back into what we were doing before. Where but it's just the trial and error.
I was going to
of it
ask you
all.
that exact question next, so I'm glad you brought that up because I've heard guys talk about like, who is it? The Chris Rocks of the world. Like they're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. But again, these guys are already all the way up there. It's like Metallica, you know. It's like fucking. I mean, you can't really compare yourselves to them at that point. But they'll be like, no, I'm here to work on new shit, and they'll tell people this isn't going to be funny. Working through.
Oh yeah.
So here's what it is, and they won't like get that. So where do you think that happens in your own mind, where you're like, I don't care. When will that? Because it will happen to you, and this is this is a perfect time to say this. Well, thank you for coming back on the podcast, by the way, because Patrick and I actually just had a conversation about you. The smart move getting Rudy back on. Now that you're back, I go, hi. I mean, I'm glad. Yeah, I knew to get him on. What are you talking about? That dude's about to blow up, dude. Been watching his clips online, and I was like, I'm smelling the same stank you're smelling, bro.
Thanks.
And that's what I texted you. I was like, or did you already get too big? Because dude, what you're doing, your work ethic, how much you stuck to it, all the things we talked about on the last podcast, like it's pretty obvious that you're like, because you talked about like struggling on the, I'll outlast you. You said that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's just outlasting people. I think you're actually like, you hit a different, I call it plateauing for me, where I like make these breakthroughs and then I kind of tread water for a while and breakthrough. I do not have this slow. Maybe if you look macro enough, it looks like a slow and steady incline.
Yeah.
But in real time, it's a lot of fucking plateaus. A lot of fucking plateaus for a long period of time for me. I'll go 3 to 6 months without even sniffing improvement on the drums. And then one day I sit down and I'm like, I am way better than I was on Monday. Yeah. What the fuck happened?
Yeah.
And I just learned to stick through it, outlast it, to use your phrase. But I'm not outlasting anybody else. It was just, this is how my brain works. This is how my mind. So with you, right? You're obviously getting better. I do believe you're about to blow up. I think you're going to blow up to a level where you don't have time to do any side shit that we talked about, the editing, the working, the producing, all of that.
You know, it's funny you say that because I watched the Sergeant Slaughter. You been watching? Are you a wrestling guy at all?
Bro, Sergeant Slaughter is one of my uncles.
Oh no shit.
Yeah,
okay.
like my home. Shout out to Jason. Like that's
awesome.
He's actually probably going to be on the podcast. I'm definitely I got to go to North Carolina.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Jason's like, he'll do it. I'll convince him to do it. Consider it done.
Yeah.
So I will have Sergeant Slaughter on this podcast. It'll be in North Carolina, but we're going to do it. I'm super excited for it. It's weird that you bring him up of all people.
Well,
I don't know any other wrestlers. I have no connection to any other wrestler you could have picked. Jake the Snake? Nope.
No, not at all. No, which is funny because I know Jake the Snake's old opener.
No way. I could have picked any. I could have fucking just picked any wrestler. What the fuck, dude?
Doesn't matter now. Yeah. Everybody's 5 degrees of separation.
That shit's so true, though.
Yeah. But I was watching his. I'm not a huge. I don't watch a lot of wrestling. But I loved wrestling when I was growing up. And I think there's so much to be learned from, especially for comics. There's so many parallels to what, comedy and wrestling are. It's not getting paid. It's on the road.
Okay.
It's working on your craft. It's networking. It's getting opportunities, being good at the right time. I tell everybody all the time.
Being unselfish.
Yeah,
you hear about that a lot, which I never thought about in wrestling, but they talk of that a lot. And they say putting another guy over, which means letting him win.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot of comedy, and networking, just meeting people and shit. But one of the things I've been watching these A&E biographies about, wrestlers from the 80s and 90s. And one of the things I took away from the Sergeant Slaughter one, he said, my wife was always kind of on my case a little bit. Every time I turn around, you're always off doing something else. But also then again, like, Sergeant Slaughter provided a very luxurious life for his family. That bitch was like, I don't want any Sergeant Slaughter stuff in the house. You can keep it in the garage. And it's like, the house exists because he is Sergeant Slaughter.
Right.
Like, you don't have a job because he is Sergeant Slaughter. Let the guy hang his fucking poster in the living room. Like, let him soak it in. But he's got like boxes of shit. But one of the things that he told his wife, and I so related to it, he said, honey, I am only doing this so that one day I don't. I was like, I get it, man. I'm doing a week in Vegas coming up in July, and I'm looking at the calendar.
Shit.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the calendar going, okay, I'm going to be in Vegas, but every morning I have to wake up and I still have other people's pods I have to get out. I still have other people's clips I have to get out. I still have other people's flyers I have to get out. So while every other comic I'm going to be with is sitting down by the pool and probably getting some daiquiris and going to take a nap.
And paying somebody else to do their podcast clips.
I'm going to be waking up because I got shit to pay for. I got a daughter who didn't want to go to public school. She wanted to go to a private school. And her family was like, well, this is what she wants. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Great education, but it's expensive. And I'm a single dad. I have one house by myself. Nobody lives with me. So all the lawn mowing, all the cleaning, my daughter lives with me full time, but she's gone half the time. And here's the thing, like I had such a childhood where everything was always a fucking thing, which drove me nuts. Everything was always a thing. The dishes weren't done. That was a thing. It turned into this massive fucking blow up all the time. And like I left a towel in the washing machine. And I remember like my dad like opened up the washing machine and smelled a musty towel. His fucking mind about it. All he would have had to have done was throw the towel back into the washing machine with the shit he was going to wash and just rewash it. But
that's water we're wasting.
Yeah, but he lost his fucking mind about it. And I don't ever want to give my daughter shit about that stuff.
Right.
And I don't care about it. So my daughter left this morning to, even though I know, hopefully some of your listeners have kids, because I can bitch about this stuff nonstop. My daughter called me one day and she goes, Dad.
I think I'm the only one that doesn't have kids anymore.
Yeah, but listen, great.
I think I'm the only one over 30 that doesn't have a kid.
Fucking enjoy it while you can. My daughter called me and said, Dad, Auntie wants to know if I can go to Maroon 5 with her. And I said, yeah, well, sure. Okay, when is it? And she goes, May. I was like, all right. And like 4 days later, my daughter texts me and goes, yo Auntie, $900. I go, $900 for what? She goes, well, for the airfare, the hotel, the concert ticket. I was like, where are you going to fucking see Maroon 5? Well, Vegas. I'm going to the residency at MGM Grand. I was like, whoa, hang on a second. You didn't say anything about Las Vegas. I thought you meant like XL Energy Center,
right,
$100 ticket. Yeah. Like, no, we're going to go there. And I was like, oh, kiddo, I can't give her $900. Jesus Christ. Like, I don't have $900.
Even if you did, it's not the best decision to set children up where, can I just have money?
Can I have money? Yeah. And I was like, that's not, no, we can't.
Like when you said it originally, I thought Auntie was paying for everything and she was just simply asking for permission to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and then suddenly there's money out of your pocket. That for me, I don't even have kids. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not even what you asked me. And then it's like, it's in Vegas. That's a weekend trip. Suddenly I'm paying. No, we're not doing any of this. Like,
I said, that's ridiculous. And she goes, well, Auntie already bought all the tickets and all the airfare and all that. And then I said, and then she goes, and then she also is bringing my niece, Aaliyah. She's like, she's also bringing Aaliyah and Grammy. And I'm like, well, fucking goddamn. So I call my sister and I'm like, hey, you got to give me a heads up before you drop all this shit. I can't just give you $900. I mean, I don't know. Why didn't you come to me and ask me first about taking her to Vegas? And my sister goes, she called me and asked me if I wanted to go to Vegas. I didn't call her and ask. I was like, motherfucker.
Oh, shit.
I was like,
this is your daughter's idea.
Yep. And I'm like, God damn it. And then,
dude, she's a genius.
Oh, yeah.
You should almost be proud of her for this little shit.
So immediately I was fucking rip shit mad. And I sat on it for a second and I thought, you know what? Fucking A. Good for her. There's a book from Malcolm Gladwell. I can't remember if it was Blink or if it was Tipping Point. One of the two. But in one of the books, they talk about how there's two guys that are in college together. They both start freshmen. I can't remember what college it is. But they both go out. They both cause a little bit of trouble. And they both get kicked out of school. One of those guys went back to the dean's office every day for a month. It would like pound on the door and was like, I'm going to be reinstated. This is bullshit that you kicked me out. And the other guy was like, listen, man, they made their decision. Guys, fuck that. I'm not backing down. Guy would go every day. Well, the guy who said, fuck it, it's never going to work, that guy went and moved into a goddamn shack in the woods and is there to this day, guy's got like a part-time job at Aldi's. The guy who fucking went and pounded on that guy's door graduated and then went on to become like a Fortune 500 CEO. Yep. And I thought, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to let this one slide. I'm going to tell her you can't do that again. And if the next time it happens, but this time I was like kind of proud that you thought about it for a minute and thought, My dad will never, ever say yes to this.
But the but is what's the pride.
If I flip it, and I'm like, yeah.
That's fucking problem-solving skills,
absolutely,
man. That's
man.
resourcefulness, that's cleverness, that's creativity.
Yeah. And there was a part, and I thought, now, if this was bad. So I said, listen, I will say
and
this.
It'll be a core memory when you now that you've said yes, you're going to let her do it. She'll never do it again, but she's going to remember this. Like, I won. Like, she'll never forget this.
No.
She'll use this in the future. Okay, I'll never do that with my dad again, but I might be able to do it with a promotion. I might be able to do it with a new job. Like, that's because if you would have just been like, hey, I'm proud of you, smart, but still no.
You can't do that shit to the old man.
Now it's not a core memory. Now it may never be a motivating event for her again.
Right.
Dude, that's good parenting, man. Good on you, dude.
Yeah.
Good on you, man.
So I said, listen, I can't give $900. I said, I'm barely breaking even right now, so we're gonna have to figure this out. I said, I'll tell you what. How about for your birthday and all the other small little things like Valentine's Day and all that shit we're on the hook to fucking buy stuff for. I said, you get none of that stuff, but I'll pay half. And she went, all right. And my daughter grabbed her phone and she Venmo'd my sister $450. And I'm like, okay, secondly, where the fuck did you come up with $450? God damn
and if you had it the whole time, why were you asking me? More cleverness on her. Good for you.
And then she said, here's what's so crazy is she goes, well, I asked you to pay for it. And then if you would have said no, I was just going to pay Auntie. And I was like, okay, well, where the fuck did you get $900?
Yep.
So I don't know. Kids, but we never did shit growing up. Like, we went on one family vacation because we lived up in northern Minnesota. We took a family vacation, and it was to Blaine. That was our family vacation. Blaine. To my stepdad's sister's house.
I lived in Blaine. So for the listeners,
not a vacation hotspot.
For the listeners and the viewers that don't know what Blaine is, it's nothing. Yeah. It's just a suburb. There's nothing. I wouldn't even say it's a shithole. I'm just saying there's nothing there. It's a suburb. Like, it's blue collar families making decent money. There's a shopping mall. There's a lot of chain restaurants. There's nothing unique or touristy in Blaine. That is the weirdest place you could possibly pick. Like, there's other suburbs near there that have more going on than fucking Blaine.
Also, it's not like, it's not like Chicago is across the ocean. It's not like Wisconsin Dells is a fucking, we got to get a covered wagon. And no, just get in the fucking car and go.
I mean, even Bloomington has the Mall of America, which is 30 more minutes.
Yeah. So we went to Blaine.
Dude, I feel bad, bro. I'm not even your dad, and I feel bad.
Yeah, these motherfuckers, dude. So to sweeten the pot, the reason why we went is because my stepdad got free Twins tickets. This was whatever, it must have been 1994. Back right a couple years after they won the series, so the team was blowing up. It was really nothing to like cheer for.
The strike is what did that. People don't realize that, but basically the strike which introduced major salaries into baseball and
and we went, and I remember they were playing the Mariners, Ken Griffey Jr. And I liked baseball at the time. And I wasn't a Twins fan. Dan Gladden was a dickhead to me when I was 8. Kind of denounced him. Was whatever. I'll just fucking.
Isn't that the worst?
I'll find another team. But
you ever think you've ever fucked up with a potential fan?
Yeah,
I definitely have too. Yeah. What's the not to break this, but I feel like the Twins thing. We can come back to that. That's an interesting thing that no one ever talks about. Like, what's the worst fuck up you ever, or potential fuck up?
Oh man, I had to do a limo when I was working. Oh, what the hell was it? I think it was 90. I can't remember. It had to have been a rock station, so it might have probably more than likely 90, because I had to take a limo.
This is pre-comedy for sure then, right?
Oh, definitely. Oh, this is long time ago. Yeah. I was doing afternoons at 93X. We had to take a limo with some listeners to a Kid Rock show. And while we were in the limo, they packed this thing with all these dudes. And I'm not really like a big crowds guy, like that's the thing I love about my business and about where I've gotten to in this, there are times where like my daughter wants to go to a show or we're going to get like 6-7 people. I'm like, yeah, like we'll go hang out or whatever, buy tickets for whatever show. But the best part about this is the fact that I get to sit in a fucking box at a Wild game. Right. I get to sit somewhere where I'm not like I'm not shoved in a fucking seat. You know, I fly every weekend now, so I'm always cramped. I just want to be able to relax and kick my feet out. The best thing I ever did was get the American Express card to get into the Delta lounges at the airport. Because I'm telling you, it's a fucking game changer. When you're in an airport for, you got a 2.5 hour layover, your ass gets so sore sitting at your gate, kicking it in the lounge. Like, that's the thing I love the most about it. And what are we talking about? My daughter.
Where I cut you, I asked you what the biggest fuck up.
Biggest fuck up. That's what it was. Yeah, thank you. And so we had to do a limo for Kid Rock, and this was crammed with all these dudes. Must have been like 15 guys in a 7-person limo. It's hot as balls. You know, everybody's drinking. We're going bar hopping and stuff. And I just proceeded and I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to, not because like I didn't like the guys or anything. I'm just like, dude, it's like the one night of the week. I've seen Kid Rock 70 times. Like, I'm fine. I don't need to be here. And he's
also not the most like.
And I just got
he's cool, but like at the same time, Kid Rock's not exactly like. Kid Rock does not inspire you to be on your best behavior so you can hang out with him more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I just get completely shit faced.
I don't want to talk shit about Chris Rock because. I mean, whatever. But
yeah, but I get completely shit faced, and then fucking wake up the next day. I get a blackout. Wake up the next day, and one of the guys that was in the limo is a buddy of mine. He texts me, and you gotta call me. Like, I'm like, what's up? And dude, you are gonna be so much shit on Monday. Like, there was some dude with a mullet, and you were making fun of him and calling him a fucking hillbilly and a piece of shit. And the guy was like, I don't understand, like, why you're being mean to me. And you said something like, because you fucking, I will be nice for you for as many minutes as you have teeth. And I was like, why would I say that? Like, what the fuck is my problem?
That's super funny, though.
I'm such an asshole. Like, why
I would have laughed at that. But this is why I'm also not necessarily the best person in the world, because I laugh at fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Because that is fucking maybe one of the best insults I've ever heard. I'll be nice to you for as long as many minutes as
you have teeth. I was like, God damn it! Why would I say that? Like, I'm just such a dick. And
it was funny, and I'll tell you why you said it, because you were a comedian before you were a comedian, and I learned about 6 months ago, because we're not friends, but we're, whatever. We're buddies, whatever.
Absolutely.
And I have some real I have some real friends that are comedians. I almost implied you're not a real comedian, and I apologize. That's not what I tried to say. I have some legit friends that are comedians, and then I was listening to them on podcasts. Speaking of, your buddy Derek was just on Rogan.
Uh-huh.
That's what reminded me of. But anyways, long story short is apparently that urge, that thing to like say the fucked up thing, to go for the joke no matter what. I fucked my whole thing up because I should have gotten into comedy at 20 to 25. Even though still at 40, I have no comprehension on how to write a joke. It's that instinct that makes a good comedian, because you basically go through your entire life. This is what he said. You basically go through your entire life offending everyone because you're willing to say the thing off the top of your head.
Yeah.
Whether you know it or not. And you're always going for the joke. And when it doesn't land, you lose friends. If you're in a comedy club, when you don't land the joke, it's just silent and uncomfortable.
Oh,
and I was like, oh my God, you're right. How did you know that? And he's like, because I'm your friend and I've known you for a long time. And that's why I think you're funny. And he's one of those many friends who's like, dude, you need to go. That's why I told you about, like, I have this list of jokes. I thought about it for a while.
Sure.
Because there's a bunch of people that are like, dude, you need, like, this is where you're supposed to be. The podcast thing is cool. The music thing's cool. But, like, you need. And then I ask other people in my life, and they're like, eh. So I'm like, maybe I'm not funny. Like, I don't think I'm funny, but I make people laugh a lot, so maybe they're right. I don't know.
My family didn't get behind me until maybe like that.
Because your worst moment was legitimate. Like, that, I'll be nice to you for as many minutes as you have teeth. Bro, that is fucking hilarious. That's fucked up.
I know.
It's fucking
I know. And
funny.
I get so cringy thinking about some of the shit we did. But what was so funny about that moment is, as I was like, I'm so fucked, right? I'm so fucked. This guy's never going to, I'm totally getting written up or talked to or something. And it never happened. never got back to the bosses. And then I ran into like one of those guys. I was in the limo like a year later. And I said, the guy was like, "Oh man, I was in the limo with you for the Kid Rock thing." And I'm like, "Oh, I am so sorry." And I said, "Please," I said, your buddies, your guy with the mullet, please tell him I apologize. I was blacked out. And he goes, "No, man." He goes, "I mean, dude, don't get me wrong. Like, he was hurt, but he's also, that was at a time," because this was whatever, 15, 20 years ago now. But that was at a time when you kind of, guys could easily verbally attack each other, and you just moved on. You just fucking moved on. There wasn't like this, "Oh, he triggered me," or "I was offended." None of that shit existed. You could say whatever you want to your friends. My friends pretended to kidnap me when we were 16 years old. Still went to the pit party with them that night. It's a different time.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
So back to the Twins thing. So Gary Gaetti was a dick to you.
Dan Gladden.
Oh, Dan Gladden. Sorry,
Dan
I said
Gladden.
Gary Gaetti.
Yeah, Dan Gladden.
Same World Series.
Yeah.
Team,
So yeah, we took one vacation. Oh, to turn this all back around, we took one vacation, and we went to the Twins game, and Ken Griffey Jr. up to bat. Not like Ken Griffey, wasn't a Seattle fan. I just liked Ken Griffey. Ken Griffey hits a fucking foul ball, lands in my stepdad's lap. Motherfucker does not give it to me. I was 13 years old. Like, I brought my mitt. I was one of those.
That's rough.
I was one of those dickhead kids who brought his mitt to the ballpark, and then my dad caught it and was like,
"That's not a dickhead kid move. You got to do that."
Yeah, of course, because I'm small. I'm a tiny boy. Like this is a
tiny boy.
It's a 32-year-old man. And he's holding the ball up and like showing it for the jumbotron, and then I'm like, "Hey, so." He's like, "No, I caught it. It's mine." I'm like stuck in his jacket pocket, and I never saw it again. That was the end of it.
Dude, I was at a baseball game once. I caught 2 foul balls.
Get out.
And so one came directly to me, and I didn't have a glove. I just caught it, and I played baseball, so I had incredible hands. And except when I played wide receiver in football, for some reason, then I had brick hands. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I play corner, I could intercept anything that came within 6 feet of me. It was uncanny. You put me at wide receiver, and suddenly everything's brick hands. I cannot explain it to this day. Baseball, great hands, even without a glove. I reach up, caught the first one. My buddy Brian fucking told me the next day, because we didn't have text message. Otherwise, he probably would have hit me immediately. But he's like, "Oh, yeah, I fucking saw you on the Jumbotron twice." Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, I caught 2 fucking balls last night." He goes, "Yeah." And you were just like sitting there, like rotating it, just looking at the ball, and they were talking about you. He didn't tell me what they said. And then he goes, "The funny thing was the second one." So what happened was, literally, because I had already caught one, the second one was coming to me, and it was going to land directly in my hand. And this person, I don't remember, man, woman, kid, I don't remember, their hand came up in front of mine and tried to catch the ball.
Oh, yeah.
So I grabbed their hand, and they kind of limped off, and then I just like pulled the ball out of it. And I'm like 14. I wasn't a strong person.
No,
but like, I was like, I'm catching this ball and it's mine, and you're in my way.
Yeah.
And then I turned around because I realized it was a girl. And it was a girl my age, like a kid.
Oh.
And so then I literally I was like, "Well, I have 2," and I gave her the ball.
Yeah.
And he was like, and that was the funniest thing, was like watching you in one moment, like, "I got a ball." And then the next moment you're like, "Here's a ball."
Here's a ball.
And the way he described it was a lot more wholesome, because for me it was just like, I don't need 2 balls. Like, I already have one.
Yeah.
But I guess the way he saw it and the way they were talking about it on TV, it sounded way more cute and way more wholesome. But yeah, like, to be that kid to catch a foul ball is like a core memory. It's like,
yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't happen often. The odds are not in your fucking favor.
No.
And yeah, that dude, for a stepdad to keep that baseball, bro, like, that's kind of a dick move.
Yeah. It's not like he
and
was
that,
a big...
Oh, by the way, I've caught way more than 2 foul balls in my life.
Oh,
I
really?
probably caught like maybe 2 dozen, because I used to go to a lot of baseball games, and I was a really cute kid. So I'd always like hang down on the lower level. And then back then, the ushers would go, "Hey, there's 2 open seats down there. You guys want to go sit there?" Because they want to keep that level filled for the cameras. So I would end up in these sections a lot as a kid. And yeah, I would catch them all the time. There was a time I caught a ball, and like literally just I seen a little kid next to me. And I was like, "Hey, do you want this ball?" I was, again, 14, 15, 16 years old. Our stepdad? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
That is a weird...
Yeah.
Like, where do you think that came from? Why would an adult... Is he trying to teach you a weird lesson? Like...
No, I mean, I just think he was an asshole. Like, I don't think there was like any sort of like reason behind it. But you know, like that guy made no sense. You know, my mom married him when I was 5, and I was like, all right, well, I guess you're dad now.
I'm gonna assume she didn't stick with.
Oh no, man, they got divorced when I was like going into my senior year of high school, and then I haven't fucked seen him since. But here's what's crazy though, man, is that his sister was a couple of years younger than he was. She's got to be like
Cool as
50
fuck.
now. Cool as fuck, dude. Comes to whenever I'm around her area, comes to all my shows, hangs out, buys merch, takes pictures, never brings his name up, never fucking mentions him. I'm like, all right, so I don't ask, so there must have been something that happened, but either way, you know. I love those videos too. Like those videos get me. I saw one the other day about a guy. There was a kid who went to a Yankees game, big Aaron Judge fan. He brought his glove, was waiting to like catch a foul ball.
Yeah.
Then Aaron Judge, he wanted to catch a home run ball. Kind of out in the.
Did you play baseball, by the way? I wanted to ask.
I did up until about the age of like 14 or 15.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And then
so the same time we all did.
Yeah, yeah.
Like everybody quits around 14, 15, unless you become a professional baseball player.
Yeah, I think it was like I think I tried my freshman year to play high school ball, and I was like, this is something.
Oh, well, that's when they start throwing. So I was incredible in Little League. We won the state championship, and I was incredible because what's the number? I could throw an 82-mile-an-hour fastball at 14.
Jesus.
And my curveball was like 74.
Yeah.
So there was a big enough difference to where like I was like good.
Yeah.
I was really in fact, I was the starting pitcher for the state championship game. Like I was that good.
Oh, no shit. Wow.
But I could barely hit. At that age when most people were throwing 74, 76. But I was really good all the way through like 8th grade. And then I went to 9th grade and they're throwing 88. Like the big kids are throwing like 88. And I couldn't come anywhere near that ball.
Yeah.
I think I went like, it was 9th grade. I was on that baseball team for like a month. I don't remember how many games we played, but I don't know, fucking 24 at bats or something like that. And I did not touch the ball once. And I just quit. I was like, I'm not going to be able to even go to college playing baseball. And missing the baseball is not only humiliating, but like, this isn't fun.
No.
Like this, I'm not good enough to even have fun playing baseball anymore. And I literally just walked off the practice field one day. I was just like, that's it, dude. Because I thought I was just in a slump. It's been a while since I played. I'll catch up to the game. It'll slow down. No, it didn't. And that was when my first realization, like, this is not my future. You know what I mean? Like,
dude,
it was hard to swallow that pill, dude. But like everybody does it in some respects. I'm not special or unique. Don't feel bad for me. It was just that moment where I was like, oh, I'm not actually good at everything I want to be.
The problem is I figured that shit out in 6th grade, and my parents still made me do all of it until like my senior year. They were like, "Now you gotta play football." Basically, they were like, "It's the cheapest thing that we'll pay for."
I'm definitely making my kids do things, but it doesn't mean I'm going to make them do something they don't want to do. It means that they're going to do things because I learned young children need to have all of their time occupied by something.
You think so?
I do, because I think idle time for children just prevents them from. What I mean by occupying is like, I'm not saying they can never have like recreation time to fuck around and do nothing. Is what I'm saying is like, I'm not okay with my kid coming home from summer vacation or being home all summer on summer vacation with zero obligations, zero responsibilities, zero schedule, zero anything, because that's what happened to me. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, you're joining a program, and I'll allow him to quit and drop, but you got to pick something else up then. Like, you're filling this time, because what I need him to do is learn that when you're an adult, you don't get a lot of free time. Yeah. So make your time worth it and fill it up with things that are going to make you constructive, make you better, make you happy, build social skills. Like, there's a reason we're doing these things beyond just having fun. Yeah. Because fun is fleeting. Fun is short term. Right? Yeah. Like, because, I had way too much idle time, and then it became something that I sought after. Was like, no, I want to just relax and do nothing.
Mhm.
Like I'm doing all this stuff. I want to just do this now because that's what I'm used to as a kid. And I don't think that breeds productive adults.
Sure.
So I'm probably overcompensating a little bit, but if he hates football, I'm not going to make him play football. I'm going to be like, okay, let's try basketball.
Mhm.
Let's try baseball. Don't know if we'll be able to afford hockey because that shit's expensive and there yet, but like, we'll see. But chess club, mathletes, fucking debate. You're in something. Like you don't get to just fuck off. Like you don't get to. It's not constructive for an adult male to go to work, come home, and sit on the couch and watch TV. We all know that.
Yeah.
No one will advocate for that. Why would I let my child? Because all I'm doing is building in habits to where that's what he thinks he's going to do as an adult.
Yeah.
No, you got to do something else. And I'm not hard fast on that, dude. But that is definitely my opinion as of now. Like you're going to try things. And like I will also never let my kid quit mid something. So if you're playing football, you're finishing the season.
Oh, that's a good rule. Yeah,
you're not quitting mid-season. Because I did that too. And I let my teammates down, right? Like, no, dude, you suck. Okay, I get it. You know you suck. Like, I'm not going to say you suck. You know you're not great, but like, that's not the point. The point is like you committed to follow through matters.
Yeah.
Stick-to-itiveness matters.
Sure.
And I think those are like the most productive, healthy things. Adults?
Mm-hmm.
So how would they not be the exact same thing for
Yeah.
And I don't mean to patronize somebody who has kids. I don't have kids. We're trying to have kids, but like I'm speaking from if I were my parent watching my own childhood in replay. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, I should have been way more. Because I basically built a lot of bad habits that leaked into my 20s when your parents aren't around, that bled into my 30s. And I'm like fighting an uphill battle now, fucking 40 years old. And I see all those mistakes we made growing up. Not to be pretentious, like I know everything.
No, it's, the problem is when you talk about like filling kids, every hour of every day, I think.
I did say that. That's not what
Yeah.
But you're right. I did say that.
But I think the biggest issue that parents are doing with their kids nowadays is they are sort of, I'll back up for a second.
Are they turning their childhood into a job?
A little bit.
Yeah, but they're not allowing them to be kids.
Yeah, but
I hear you.
Yeah, because like I said to my sister one day, my niece does dance, piano, theater, and basketball and gymnastics. Does 5 different things, and she's leaving practices of gymnastics to go to basketball, or then has to like leave piano lessons early to get to dance practice. And I said, listen, I think it's great that you're letting her branch out and try all these different things. I said, maybe what you do is instead of her doing 5 different things and then her sucking at all of those things because she doesn't put enough time in, maybe what you should do is just let her focus on one thing and let her suck at that.
And try to get better.
And then eventually, maybe she could possibly get better at it. But I think you're just spreading them too thin. And I think it's also good because my neighbors, 2 houses down, they have 4 kids. And every single day, those kids are in the yard. They have tire swings. They playing football. They're doing, and like the dad's out there like doing shit with them. And I'm like, you're a pioneer. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Like,
but that is an example of what I'm talking about, where it's like that's not idle time.
Not idle time. They're doing something other than just staring at a phone or staring at TVs. And that's and that stuff is good for them. But yeah, man, I don't know. I see some of that stuff that, my daughter is super into, like, she wants to be an architect and she'd be great at it. She's really into The Sims. She does all, like, she's loved to draw. And every time I just see her on her phone, I'm like, you do realize that, you spent 25 minutes staring at, you could have spent 20 minutes drawing and you'd be 20 minutes better than you were 20 minutes previously. It doesn't take much. 20 minutes a day, half hour a day. That's all it takes. But progressively, you just build up that skill and then you get good at it. It's just, it takes such especially parents nowadays who are just, everybody says we're busy. We're so busy. I think we're the least busiest we've ever been. I mean.
You think?
Oh, yeah, man. I totally do. When I say
is
that.
Is it just because everything's so like seamless and automated now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you think about it, we get in a car, we plug in the address. I mean, like I go to Chicago now, like once every 4 months for shows. I don't fucking, I don't have a Rand McNally. I'm not printing off MapQuest.
You
I'm
remember
literally
that?
just
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm literally just going, all right, hey Siri, give me directions to the Comedy Vault downtown
Dude,
Batavia.
remember doing road trips on your own where you had the fucking the road atlas on the fucking passenger seat, so you'd have to like, well, I'm 100 miles away, but I don't remember exactly what exit I need. So you're like, well, I'll pull over now, get gas.
Yeah.
Like it would add time to trips because you're like, oh, well, I got to read the map and then I got to remember where I'm going. And then MapQuest was a thing, and it was like, I can just print this off at home.
Yeah.
And then, I hear you.
My
Okay.
mom knew I was going to
Okay.
be a traveler. The day I graduated for my graduation present, she got me this giant Rand McNally.
That's
map.
what it was called, the
Yeah.
Rand McNally.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what it was.
And it was filled with every street in America. Whatever big city, they got it. Doesn't matter where you are, they got it. It was this huge, thick-ass book. And, I kept it underneath the seat. And,
your buddy would live somewhere that wasn't on the map, so you'd literally kind of try to pencil
it
pen it in.
past it. Yeah,
It's like,
sure,
there's this road over here, and you'd
Yep.
like write the name next to it.
Well, it also kind of like kept
It
you.
would smudge.
It also kept you engaged because
You had to pay attention.
You had to pay attention. You had to know where your exit was. You
It
had
was
to
so
know-
much better for memory.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, think about it now. Like, when was the last time you memorized somebody's phone number?
Exactly.
Doesn't exist.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And now I can barely remember how to get certain places without GPS. Like I've been to Fogo de Chao, I don't know, a dozen times downtown, and there's the city center ramp next to it, where if you go at the right time, it's free, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And even if it's not, it's at worst case it's like $12, whatever, unless there's an event going on downtown. That's not my point. Anyways, and under any normal circumstance, after the second time I drove there, I would not. Every single time I go there, I have to put
Oh, really?
the city center ramp in my GPS. Yeah, because it's not actually complicated, but there's just enough like, this is a one way. You got to actually go around the block and come by there's just enough of that to where I have never once been able to remember how to get to the city center ramp so I can go to Fogo in the same building. Like, it's bad, dude. It's really bad. And that's the one that fucks me up the most, is like not using my brain for that kind of stuff, that memory retention. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's ironically.
I'm bad with that. I'm really bad with that.
No, but that is the one thing that I've gifted to my daughter, is the ability to drive somewhere once. Never will I ever forget how to get there.
If you gave me like directions, you go, hey, I live on 33rd and Fillmore. It's the third blue house on the right.
Yeah.
I go, okay, because I know Minneapolis. I know how to do that math in my head and go, okay, 33rd and Fillmore, third house on the right, it's blue. Got it. Once I go there I'm good.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen. I go, send me your address. And then if it's in Minneapolis, I'm good, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 33rd and Fillmore. But if you live in fucking Gridley, I'm not remembering that shit.
Yeah.
If you live in goddamn Bloomington, I'm certainly not, where the streets are curved and like, because cities with grids easier for me.
Oh yeah,
because I'm a simple man.
Oh,
I'm
Christ.
a simpleton,
dude. I was doing
St. Paul's the worst.
Doing shows in Boston. We were in Beverly, Massachusetts, which is kind of like just a little northwest of Boston. Excuse me, northeast of Boston, but sort of like next to Salem. You know, all that area. And we were. I first, when I got on stage, I said, man, I don't know how the hell you guys find anything out here. I was like, I was walking down the street and I said, hey, sir, can you tell me exactly where Off Cabot, that's the name of the club? Can you tell me where
I've heard of that place.
Yeah. I go, can you tell me where Off Cabot is? And the guy goes, I was going to ask you. I walked up, I go, sir, do you live here? And he goes, I do. And I said, hey, can you tell me where Off Cabot is? He said, I was going to ask you. And I'm like, that's fucked up that you live here. And then I was like, I was on stage kind of just doing this in real time. And I'm like, I realized that, I live in Minneapolis.
I think I've seen this.
Yeah.
Did you put this clip on the internet?
I did put this clip on the internet.
I've seen this clip.
I've in Minneapolis, it's north, south, east, west. It's a grid. Here, you guys just paved over the donkey paths, and you're like, well, figure it out. And like that's exactly what it is. Like those highways, there's no system to it at all.
So that's probably like your Kansas City bit from last time you were on the podcast. We talked about your Kansas City bit. You were talking about barbecue or something. And I was like, well, I don't want to. I said I don't want to burn your bit, and you were like, I'll never use that joke again.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That's probably like that. And is that how you pick some of your clips? It's like, this was a local bit or a topical bit that killed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use it as a clip because this is not something I can sustain and build into my hour for my upcoming special.
Yeah.
Is that how you kind of make some of those decisions?
Yeah. So a lot of times, I mean, that's why you see so many people post crowd work stuff, is because they don't want to like burn material, which I always tell everybody, Jesus Christ, guys, you're not Dave Chappelle. You're not Bill Burr. Just fucking put a joke up and just...
But wouldn't that make it worse? Since they're not those guys and they have less material to rely on, wouldn't it make it more critical to not burn those jokes? Or am I thinking about it wrong?
Yeah, because I don't think enough people care or remember bits like you know?
And I hear comics talk about that. Like, what if you add a tag to it later, or you change it enough to where it's bare, or this joke now is part of this story or something.
Yeah. And it changes. They evolve. Like there's jokes that I posted probably 3 years ago that now I do a completely different way or a new angle or something. And I'm like, okay, who gives a shit? Just go ahead and redo it.
That was another question I wanted to ask you. I would call it remask. Do you ever remask a joke? Meaning like, okay, so if we break down the anatomy of a joke, right? You have like setup, punchline, right? In storytelling, you have problem, climax, solution.
Uh-huh.
Right? So do you ever go, okay, I have this great formula of a joke, but it's outdated. So it's no longer, and I'm really bad at this because I'm not a comedian, but like instead of Britney Spears, we're going to replace it with, or instead of Whitney Houston, we're going to replace it with Britney Spears. Instead of Britney Spears, we're going to now replace it with Kim Kardashian, whoever the fuck, right? Or JoJo Siwa. And like, have you ever, or do you know if this is a thing where people will just take the names and subjects, but it's the same fucking joke 10 years later? It's but it doesn't sound like the same joke to the layman.
No. In fact, do you ever see...
Does that work? Is that a thing?
You ever watch Hacks on HBO?
Yeah, I watched the whole first season. I thought it was great.
So the new season just came out. Love the show. Think it's hilarious. And Deborah Vance...
Is it accurate at all?
Yeah, very. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's
Crashing was pretty accurate.
Crashing was
My buddies were like, dude,
accurate.
Crashing is like, if you want to know what it's like to be a comedian, watch Crashing.
That was
like, really?
very, very accurate. Yeah. Oh, it was very accurate. But there's Deborah Vance, the main character is about to go on the Tonight Show, and she's going through a Rolodex of all the jokes that she did on the show previously. And they're like, and she's like, that doesn't work. And then at some point, the guy goes, why don't you just change the name? And she was like, oh, yeah, we could do that. And then they just changed the name of the person that she's going to make fun of. And then it totally works.
I'm sure that works if you're doing like changing one thing, right? From Whitney Houston to Britney Spears to whoever, right?
Yeah.
But does it work with the actual analogy or the anatomy of it? So it's like, okay, God, I don't even know enough about jokes to even.
Well, it can. And it kind of depends on what kind of comic you are, because certain styles of jokes work for certain comics. Matt Bronger, who I really like, is a storyteller. If Matt Bronger were to get up on stage and do set up punchline, they would go, why is he doing that? Like, that doesn't fit
sure.
Where if Rodney Dangerfield got up and just started telling stories, they would go, what? This doesn't, no, you're not that. Stop. That's where like talking about comedic character. Comedic character is also what styles of jokes do you do?
Like Jimmy Carr is a great example.
Yeah,
he actually was just on Your Mom's House talking about, I want to do more stories.
Yeah.
So he's like, because set up punchline, which is Jimmy Carr, right?
Yeah.
He's like, dude, it's exhausting. Like, it's hard to do an hour of that over and over and over again. So
you have to write so much. I mean, you have to write 4 hours.
He wasn't Your Mom's House. It was Two Bears. My bad.
To bring it down to an hour, because there's just so I'm burping. But there's just so much time you have to fill, and every joke you write is 12 seconds. So you got to fill a fucking hour of these like 12-second segments. Fucking takes a lot, man. But a story, all you got to do is tell the story and then go back, write out the story and then go back, and after every line of the story, add in a joke. That's how storytellers.
So what's your type of character? What is, like, how would you describe your character or your genre of comedy? Because it seems like you're somewhere in between setup, punchline, and storytelling.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
Is there a name of that style, or is it just that you're in between these two styles?
I don't know. I kind of break it off into chunks, and if I kind of do it that way, where like if I tell a story, it's always told through setup, punchline. Like I do a topic of, like, say I do something about my daughter, right? I'll talk about my daughter. It's a story. It's a long story but it's told through setup punchline. You know, it's a setup punchline. You just keep moving, and then at the end of it, you've got this 10-minute chunk that is all about her, and like that's where it comes from, you know. But like the other day, like there was a kid on Tuesday I saw and came up and he was like, "Tell me what did my set?" And I was like, "Dude, you're funny." I said, "The problem is I don't know who you are. I don't know anything about you. Like I don't know. Are you an angry guy? Are you a sad guy? Are you funny? Are you happy? Are you are you cynical?" Like that's kind of my character's a little bit like that. There's a couple things I noticed about my jokes over the last probably 6 months that all of my jokes hit harder when I am replying to somebody. So if I just tell a joke, it goes nowhere. So I used to do this joke.
Is that because people don't know your character yet, or who you are yet, or your story yet? For
some reason, the audience sees me correcting people. Like they go, "Oh, that guy has answer." So when I okay. So when I for instance, like there's a joke that I used to do that, and it's still not worked out. This one is still, it's just because it's top of mind. But the joke was, for Valentine's Day, my girlfriend said, "If you buy me a heated blanket, I swear to God I'll marry you." So that night, I went to Target and I returned the heated blanket I bought.
That's funny, dude. That's funny.
Now that joke, when I first started doing it, was like getting a big pop. It really was. And then after probably about a year, I noticed it was going away. Like it wasn't getting laughs anymore. And I'm like, I wonder why that is. Like why? And I was realizing that all of the jokes that were coming before that joke were me in a conversation with somebody and correcting whatever it is that they're talking about.
Okay. So you had set up a theme of like a call and answer type vibe.
Absolutely.
Like, so even if you're telling a story of a conversation, the idea of your jokes leading up to this point were, this person says something dumb, I correct them in a funny way.
Yeah.
This person said something smart, but I'm the dumb one and I corrected them incorrectly. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But this was the idea, is like as a musician, this is just how I did this last time too, and I apologize. But like to me, I would refer to that as a call and answer. Like this person says this, then I correct them or reply in this way. And then all of a sudden later, you try to set it up with da 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 da. So I took an action, and they're like that. It feels disjointed to the audience because it doesn't fit in with the rest of your set.
Absolutely.
Like a song that's a banger, but it doesn't fit with the rest of your album.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you save it for the next one.
Yeah.
So do you build that into a different set then?
So then what you do is, like, if I take a joke like that, what I got to do is then take it and then run it through the filter of my voice and what works for me. So right now I'm still figuring it out a little bit, because the problem that I've noticed with that joke in particular is I think so much of my stuff up top is about me being a dad, and like all of these like moments that I have with my daughter where like the audience really likes me. So when I do this, now they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute. That was the guy that we like is doing something mean. Like he can't do that. Like you're not supposed to be that guy."
So in that situation, and I'm not telling you how to do your comedy. I'm like, this is how I learn, right? I think out loud, like as if I were so maybe you put that joke at the very beginning to set up maybe an arc, right? Like you're writing a story, like a movie, where it's like, I used to be a piece of shit guy who was super selfish. Mm-hmm. My girlfriend said, "I would marry you tonight if you bought me a heated blanket." So the next day I returned her heated blanket.
Yeah.
Big laugh at the beginning. And then if you were to set up your jokes in an arc where it's like, I was a piece of shit, selfish guy, and now I'm the loving dad who cares about my wife, who I married, that crazy bitch, and now I'm all about my kids. Like, is that what you're kind of, if you put that joke and set up the entire set differently, maybe that joke kills again? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I think right now I'm
not literally in that example. I'm just extrapolating on that idea.
Yeah, I think right now I'm trying to get somebody else. I'm trying to figure out a way that I can tell that joke with the same structure of a girlfriend asks for a heated blanket. I swear to God, I'll marry you. Boyfriend goes out and returns the heated blanket. How can I flip that where like maybe a friend of mine comes to me and is like, "I don't know what to do, man. Like my girlfriend said, she would marry me if I bought her a heated blanket." I said, "Dude, go back and return the heated blanket." There's got to be something in there
that's also funny.
Yeah, which makes it so like the audience understands that it's the same person telling this. And that's the hardest thing.
I got it. Because we all have that buddy who's dating a crazy girlfriend.
Yeah.
And you're giving him relationship advice.
Yep.
And you're correcting this guy because he's like, dude, so, fucking, I don't know what to do, blah, 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 blah. And then, boom, here you go.
Yeah.
Break up with her. Because she's not a good person for you. Like, if you could somehow paint it as you're a good guy, he's a good guy, she's fucking crazy. Because every single person, even the women, because women are the best when it comes to this. A good woman is the best when it comes to this. My wife will admit outright, women are crazy. That's how I knew I had a good woman.
Yeah. Because
they are. And good women admit, I'm crazy. Like, that's why I admitted that my wife will be like, yeah, I'm crazy. I'm a woman. And that's when you're like, okay, same thing with dudes. Like, dudes would be like, yeah, I can be an asshole. I am an asshole because I'm a dude. That's all dudes are assholes, and we have to work to be nice.
Sure.
And if you don't have to work to be nice, like, I'm not sure I want you in a zombie apocalypse scenario.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a genuinely really gentle, nice guy, I'm going to ask you to go in the house with the women and children because I need killers out here.
Yeah.
Like actual murderers and bad dudes. I need bad people out here in this fight. So, and I think that's 90% of guys.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I think I heard of...
I can't give you advice on comedy, but that's kind of what my head is doing because everybody can relate to that, even the women in the audience, if you set it up right. Yeah, so I told him, return the heated blanket.
See, and this is one, maybe this is like a Minneapolis thing, but as a...
I already know what you're about to say. It's definitely a Minneapolis thing.
But not to turn it on, not to turn it on to race, but as a middle-aged white man who make fun of a woman, they turn their back on.
That's my kind of comedy.
Yeah,
I'm good. Dude, if I do comedy, I'm immediately going to become the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play the heel like a professional wrestler. To go back to what you were saying.
Andrew Schultz, the best villain on the planet.
My opening thing, if I go on stage for the first time as a comedian, would be I would set up the whole, and I can't believe this is a great podcast for this specific thing because I kind of knew that subconsciously. So I actually set up my opening line is like, somehow I'm going to get into the idea that I'm a piece of shit. I'm a horrible person. And so my first 3 or 4 jokes should be about like self-deprecating about like, here's how big of a piece of shit I am.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can get that funny and I get them buying into the idea that I'm not a good guy, then I can get away with saying some crazy, horrible shit.
Yeah.
Because it is fucking funny, and horrible things are fucking funny. That's how I cope with horrible things. I make jokes.
Yeah. It really does take...
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah. Because there's like such a fine line. It takes such a long time to be able to figure out what you can do and say that people are going to be okay with.
Especially when you're new, right? You only got 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
You only got 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Like,
yeah.
How can you do anything
And
in that
you don't
time?
even know who you are, you know? You have no idea who you are as a comic. You have no idea what you're supposed to be saying or how jokes actually work or how to build. You know, when you do a joke and it doesn't work, how do you make that joke work? Like, you don't even know any of those things yet. But one of the guys who does terrible shit, and we love him for it, is Anthony Jeselnik.
Oh, the best. The best. My favorite joke he's ever done, the single favorite joke he ever did was when he was talking about, and I'm not going to do the whole thing, I'll truncate it, because it'll still be funny if you guys go watch the special, was when he was talking about the neighbor who comes to his house every day and asks where his wife is.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, I could avoid, I've thought about it. I thought about moving, but I decided I'm going to answer that door every day, tell him that his wife is dead. Just to see the smile on his face. Because I did not see that line coming. And that's what my buddy says comedy is he was asking me, he goes, what is humor? And I was like, I couldn't fucking answer. He has really.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. What is it?
No, you're
and
right.
He goes, it's a syntax error. Like if you think in computer terms, it's like your brain is like shorting out because like that's not what you're supposed to say. That's not what I was expecting. So comedy is almost nothing more than a surprise.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's misdirect, you know? I just, the other day I was downtown.
Us and apes, last thing. Us and apes, the only ones that laugh. Like you ever see magic tricks on apes?
Oh, yeah.
And they laugh when the ball disappears? They're like, oh my God, that's hilarious.
Amazing.
It's like, yeah, we're definitely related to you motherfuckers. For real.
Yeah.
There's no other animals that appreciate humor.
Yeah, I was downtown a couple of weeks ago helping. There's a woman named Becky Robinson, great comic, funny online personality. I was helping her film some stuff, and Anthony Jeselnik was at the State Theater next door, and I just shot a friend of mine a line. I was like, "Hey man, can you hit up Anthony? I don't know him, but can you ask him if?" And he's like, "Yeah, no problem." 20 minutes later, I got a text. "Hey dude, tickets for you at front door. Great, fantastic,
Awesome.
So nice of him to do."
Best part about being in the business.
Absolutely. That's 1,000%, man. Like I would, and
I
like,
think that is the perk.
yeah, there's so many times like I don't need to mention his name, but he's a
Just mention his
a big
name. Jesus
deal.
Christ, just mention his
I know
name.
I always feel bad like name dropping, but I don't know if you know who Dean Del Rey is.
Oh yeah, of course.
So Bill Burr's opener.
Badass singer.
Yeah.
Incredible singer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. AC/DC, the tribute, all that stuff. So I've been working for Dean now for about 2 years.
Sweet.
And Dean's cool. He'll kick me a few bucks here and there. And I always tell him, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about the money. I give a fuck about when I call you because, like I called him the other day. I said, hey, Fu Manchu and Clutch are on the road. They're going to be in Omaha. And he's like, yeah, hang on a second. 20 minutes later, I get an email. Hey, man, you're good. Your name's going to be at the front. Just
Sick.
fucking shit. You know what I mean?
Sick.
Like, that's why you do this shit. It's to get to know people and network and all that stuff. That's why you do it. And so I go into the Anthony Jeselnik show. And I couldn't stay long. I only had like a half hour. And about 20, and he's doing all new shit, all brand new stuff. Seems just it's so good. It's so fucking articulate, so good. The last joke I left on because I thought I don't know if it's going to get any better than that joke. Last joke I left on. I have so far to go in this business. He goes, the other day I was walking the street and saw a pregnant lady hit by a bus.
Oh my God.
Now that is a gender reveal. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Brought the crowd was like, oh!
That's a fucking...
They lost
He's
their
the master.
Oh, they lost their fucking minds. And I was dying. And I'm like, okay, I'm on like 2 more sips of beer. I don't know if any joke is going to get better than that joke. I should just don't fucking ruin it. And I walked out going, you left right at the right time. I had to get going. I had another thing I had to be at 11 p.m.
That was your joke.
No, that wasn't my joke. That was his joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
That's why
okay.
I left the show. I was like, just leave it there. Like, don't watch anymore.
I thought I misinterpreted this whole story. I thought I missed a part. I thought the way you said that, where it's like, oh, I got 2 sips of beer. Thank you, ladies. That's my time.
Oh, yeah.
And walked off stage. And I'm like, wait, you got to open for him for 10, 15 minutes. Oh, okay.
No, because I've done it.
I heard it correctly.
Yeah.
I just, for a split second, I questioned everything.
You ever see a band and they do their last song and you're like, that was fucking amazing. And then they come out and do their encore and you're like, you could have fucking just kept it right there, man.
Yes.
Now I'm 25 minutes into this encore and it sucks.
Especially when they're like a smaller band.
Yeah.
And the rule is, and this transcends music, it's into comedy, it's into movies, always leave them wanting more.
Yeah.
So now I got the fucking bird. So the band that you don't know, but you just got your mind blown by, you crushed, and the fucking crowd is singing one more song. Don't do one more song.
No.
Especially if you're not the headliner, don't do one more song. First of all, it's rude if you're not the headliner.
Yeah.
Do not come out for an encore. But even if you are the headliner, don't come out and do an encore unless it's like, honestly, I wouldn't even, you could do it at First Ave level. Because First Ave, I think, is 1,500 people, maybe 1,800 people. That's a big enough crowd if you're headlining, do a fucking encore. But don't do an anticlimactic cover.
Oh, yeah.
That's the moral of my story, is they
yeah.
come out, they crushed using originals. They don't actually have one more song, let alone one of their own singles or hits. So the crowd's chanting one more song and they give in and they go, hey, let's do fucking Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue. Great song.
Yeah.
And then they come out and they flop it
Yeah.
because the singer's voice is stressed and he can barely hit the high. Whatever. You get my point.
Yeah.
Same kind of vibe. That does absolutely happen. We do have to wrap this up in a few minutes because you got to get out of here. You're recording your first special, correct?
Yeah. I'm not saying special. I'm saying album. I don't want to say special.
You're right. Because
Yeah.
it's not specials like HBO,
Yeah.
Netflix. It's an
Yeah.
album.
And
You're right. My bad.
Yeah, I don't want to, my YouTube numbers and stuff it'd be silly for me to, fucking special, quote unquote, a special because they.
Are you doing video?
Yeah, I'll do video
good,
for it.
good,
Yeah, I'll
good,
do
good,
video
good.
for it.
And you're gonna edit it on your own?
Yeah, I'll do video mostly so I can just do clips just to help promote it.
Okay.
But I don't think I would ever do. But I definitely want something that's on like a Spotify, Apple, anything like that. That would just go. Plus, the other thing I really want to do is
Are you gonna? Oh my God, I never thought about that because most comedy specials or albums are in iTunes Music.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do it on the podcast side instead of in? Because I am super frustrated with it now.
Oh.
Because I downloaded dozens of comedy albums because I'm a comedy fan, and now when I hit iTunes Music Shuffle, every once in a while a Joey Diaz bit will pop up, which is great because it's funny. But then all of a sudden I'm like, well, I want to hear the end of that joke, but it skips to a song. Right. So like it actually frustrates the shit out of me. It's also inspired me to go, dude, what if we did a band and comedy at the same time? And in between each song, even on the album, there was like a killer bit. The bit led up to the climax punchline to the intro of the song.
Yeah.
So as frustrating as it is, it also inspired me. But that's what my question is. So are you going to do it on Apple Podcast?
I don't know.
Platform?
I don't know.
Because then you could take the whole thing instead of in tracks. I could just digest the thing the way it's meant to be, like it is on Netflix or HBO.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, luckily, like I'm not doing it with I'm not doing it with like 800-pound gorilla. I'm not doing it with anybody. It's just me just doing it. More so because first off, I want to know what the pressure feels. I want to make sure that I want to know what it feels like to have to go out and do an hour and perfect it. I got 4.5 months.
You're doing a full hour?
Yeah. I think what I'll probably do is I'll do a full hour, but I'll edit it down to probably like 35.
Interesting. Because a lot of people say that people only pay attention to the first 30 minutes anyways.
Yeah. Like, in fact, actually, Michael Yo, who I'm going on the road with in a couple of weeks, when he found out I was doing it, he goes, how long are you going to do? And I was like, I'll do an hour. And he goes, oh. He's like, do the hour when you're on stage, do the hour, record it, and then dwindle it down to 35 minutes, and then take that other 25 that's already worked out, and then use that on the road
for your next hour.
One. Yeah, for your next one, so that you have something. So you're not just like going back out and doing shows with no material and having to start.
And
I was like, that makes sense. Yeah,
it's almost like he's done this for a while.
Maybe, yeah, he's been doing it around for a bit. Yeah. So that's September 13th and 14th, Comedy Corner Underground in Minneapolis. Kimball's Hume from San Diego, who I met her being on the road with Adam Carolla, and
you got her opening.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, cool. And not that I don't enjoy anybody from Minneapolis. I love Kimball's. She's great. We're both in our 40s. We both have children. I think there's a lot of comics around here that are very young that I think the comics that I would want to work with that are from here don't have kids. None of their material relates to kids. I know my crowd. My crowd is going to be a lot of people from the suburb. They're all going to be driving up for one night in the city, the big scary city. They don't want to come to the city. So I need somebody that can relate to them. And it's tough to find people that are in their 40s that are in because everybody in this scene in Minneapolis, they're super young. They're 19, 20, responsibilities, no kids.
Entitled.
Which is great. Hey, man, enjoy it while you can. Eventually that shit's going to go away. But I want somebody that I know is a solid comic, that is funny, that is relatable, that everybody in that room, because they're going to be my age, can relate to.
Right.
And I'm like, and I love her. I think she's just such a, and the other thing is that opening, and every time you listen to a special, ladies and gentlemen, Louis Cass,
Yeah.
Kimball's is British and has the most cutest English accent ever. And to have that start your show, I'm like, that's what I want on the album. I want her voice because I think she's great, a great comic, super funny, very relatable. She'll kill. That's a smaller room. I think it holds like 75 tops. So it's a smaller place. She'll destroy. She'll be here for the weekend. I love her so much. That's why as soon as I started talking to Bob Edwards about getting this underway, who owns Comedy Corner Underground, he goes, you want us to book? And I was like, give me a second. I'm like, I'm going to think about this. And yeah, I love her. She's so funny. And yeah, she'll be in town. And she's been on the road with Carolla and I, doing shows, doing theaters. She's got chops, been around. So that'll be fun, man. And then, this summer I'm going to be out with Michael Yo, Jonathan Kite.
Where can people go to get all this?
Rudy Pavich Comedy.
Rudy Pavich rudypavich.com.
Yeah.
Not maurypovich.com.
Which you'd be
Rudy Pavich.
Dude.
I know you made that joke last time.
No, there's
but-
so many people that Ira Ford, who I love. He's a comic.
Maybe
in
just lean
Minneapolis.
into it and change it at this point.
Well, fuck. Here's the thing. That motherfucker. I love Ira, and I give him shit about it. In fact, a lot of
Ira Ford, you're talking about?
Yeah, a lot of comics give him shit about it. Because,
Well, I gotta piss. Keep telling this story. I gotta piss. I can't wait.
okay, cool. Right on. Yeah, and then what time are we at? Oh,
Yeah,
fuck,
we're wrapping up right now anyway.
Yeah.
So finish this story. I gotta piss.
Yeah. So I go to I'm at Acme Comedy Company one night, and while I'm there, I What? No, I'm not. It was. So what happened was Ira Ford goes to bring me up on stage.
I got a tiny dick. It's pathetic.
and while he's bringing me up on
Son
stage,
of a bitch.
I'm sitting behind the curtain at Acme Comedy Company, and Ira Ford is like, gets done with the set. He's like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, our next comic tonight, you see him on the road in Midwest, doing comedy clubs all over the place. Ladies and gentlemen. And I hear him kind of just pause for just a millisecond. And in that millisecond, I went, he's going to fuck up my name. And again, Randy Pavich. And I was like, okay, first off, motherfucker, a lot of people say Rudy Pavich, Rudy Pavich.
He fucked up the first
He
name.
fucked up the first name. The first name. Not the last. The one that that's how special Ira Ford is.
Yeah,
that he
and
fucks up the first
and knowing him, because I don't know him, but I know him a little bit. He probably wouldn't even remember me, but I've had several interactions with him. And knowing him, he'd be like, whatever, man, all you white people's names sound the same.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
Randy, Rudy, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Speaking of that Acme, this totally triggered a memory. I haven't thought about this time. There was a comic that was on stage, black guy on stage, and he's doing this bit about people with Down syndrome all look the same, and I'm like, and it's crickets, man. It's super quiet in Acme. It is going like, ugh, dude, you got to bail on this because it was so cringy to watch, and it wouldn't 3 minutes about how people with Down syndrome look. Turn the crowd, right?
Which is legitimately true and funny, but
it's going to turn the crowd. You can't punch down, right? So
Shane Gillis could get away with that
Shane
joke.
Gillis, but he does this whole bit, and then it's silence in the room, and he gets off stage, and Andy Erickson, who I love, she's in LA now, but she gets up on stage, and it's quiet in Acme, and she walks up to the mic, and she goes, do you know what other group of people all look the same?
Oh my
Fucking annihilated.
Do you remember the OJ trial?
Oh, it was so funny. Oh, of course. Judge
When
Ito.
Judge Ito, he goes, they're asking the it wasn't Ito, it was an Asian forensics doctor, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And the attorney goes, can you point him out in the courtroom here? And the guy, no. And he goes, but I thought you said you know who he is. And he goes, I do, but all you white people look the same to me. It killed the whole fucking courtroom.
That's
Judge
great.
Ito was dying laughing. No, he didn't slam the fucking thing. Like, it was that moment where it was like, we've all heard that joke before, said the other way.
Yeah.
It was actually refreshing to be the butt of the joke. All you white people look the same to me. It was so funny.
Meanwhile, Ron Goldman's in the back going, my son is not coming back, you fuckers. Chuckle it up.
Yeah, this is not a funny moment, you sons of bitches.
Yeah. Dude, this is always a pleasure.
You got to get out of here. One thing I want to ask you before you go.
Yeah.
You are a basketball fan?
Yeah.
Do you know Corey Adam?
I do know Corey Adam.
Okay, so I do these sports casts where we throw on the game and we hang out and we bullshit, just like Joe Rogan's Fight Companions, but with regular sports, with real sports that everybody likes.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Everybody likes UFC now. Do you want to come do one of these for a basketball game if the Timberwolves don't blow the entire series? I know you're busy as fuck, but basically we get a group of dudes down here. It's an absolute blast. We watch the game. Do you want to come do one of these? I'm trying to get Corey Adam down. He said he'd do it.
Yeah, let me know. I know the games right now. Fuck, they've been playing at like 9:30 and shit.
That's always
Jesus
the problem.
Christ.
So if they don't blow this series, we'll have to try to time it up with what I'm going to try to do. If you don't have a show, if Corey doesn't have a show, I'm going to try to do it on a home game on a weekend.
Okay.
Because I got a job one of the other guys is probably going to have a job. And not that you guys don't have jobs, but I mean like jobs where I have to be there at 6, 7,
Sure.
8, 8, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll try to get that scheduled up because we do those with football. I have a whole football group, or I have a select group of guys I bring. I finally figured out the chemistry of like volumes, energies, like who is the stat guy, who you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, all right, well, if the Timberwolves are relevant, I'm having a ton of fun watching these games. Let's do a Timberwolves sportscast. I thought of you, but I was like, well, I'll wait because I got them coming up. And there's also...
it also makes it way easier when you ask people in person because then they can't say
especially on the podcast. It's on record.
Yeah,
you said yes.
No,
Holding you to it.
Yeah, fuck me. No, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, just let me know.
No, they're fun as shit.
We'll see what happens tonight with the old
and
Timberwolves.
you have a set tonight.
Yeah,
at House of Comedy.
Yeah, I'm opening for K. Trevor Wilson, who is Squirrely Dan from Letterkenny. Yeah. So opening for him. Let's see. So tonight, one show, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday. And then next week, I'm going to be in Wisconsin and then Minnesota, in northern Minnesota in Bemidji. After that is Hartford, Connecticut. And then, man, I'm all over. Tacoma, Boston, Wilmington, Chicago, Dallas, Detroit. So, yeah. So the next, few months are pretty packed. So.
I love K. Trevor Wilson. I just shared his show post today on my actual, artist page or whatever it's called. My first interaction with him was I had seen him doing some shit and I thought he was hilarious. Couldn't remember his name to save my fucking life. And my cousin had asked me if I'd ever seen this show called Letterkenny. And she was dying laughing from the line that K. Trevor dropped, which is like, I gotta go drop a pound of fudge in the bathroom or whatever his line was. Killer line in the show, right? And I'm trying to tell her about this comedian I really like. So I literally type into Google fat, bearded Canadian comedian. And the first response was a picture of K. Trevor Wilson.
Paula Poundstone. No, okay.
Paula Poundstone. So I take that screenshot and I tell this story on Twitter and I tag K. Trevor Wilson. And he fucking literally liked the tweet and came back and he's like, that's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Great.
This was years and years and years ago. But she was like, when I sent it to her, I was like, this is the guy you got to check out. She goes, that's the guy from fucking Letterkenny that I was telling you about. It was just one of those moments.
Kismet.
So if you guys are busy tonight, if you're not watching the Timberwolves game, if you're not going to Royal Blood like I am, which by the way, thank you for bumping this podcast up because I was going to do it with you at 6:30 and ignore the Timberwolves game. We bumped it up. Guy called me, said, hey, you want to come to the fucking Royal Blood? I said, yeah, let's fucking do it. Again, perks, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to Royal Blood, but if you're not doing any of those things, go to the House of Comedy. I can't endorse these guys enough. I love Rudy. I love K. Trevor Wilson. They're both great comedians. Obviously, you guys have been getting to know them. Hopefully, you get to see this in the next few hours, and you can actually have some time to go see them. But thank you again for doing this.
Dude, it was a pleasure.
Glad you're not too big for us yet. And
of course not.
but your star is rising, man, and it's an honor to know you, man. It really is, dude. Thanks for coming on. Have a great day, guys.